Hey buddy, Thomas here, and I shot this video last night, but it was actually too dark, didn't like what I was seeing, so I'm going to go ahead and reshoot this. Today I'm going to go over a few of the tactics that I use using the Timberking setworks, advanced setworks, or any setworks that you're using, everything, to maximize your cuts. Now I've got a job that I'm trying to knock out today of 200, essentially store-bought dimension 2x4s. And this is a customer who I've actually cut a lot of wood for. We've built essentially his son's house. Now these are going to be some of the interior wall studs. They've already done all the exterior stuff. They've done all the rafters, all the headers and all that stuff. Now we're working interior stuff. But the log that I have on here right now has been squared up. Now there's a little bit of wane down there. There's a little bit of wane right there. But for the most part, it is good. I only have 4 waste cut boards right here, and I'm going to show you how you can minimize your waste cuts, your useless pass back and forth and everything, and maximize the dimensional lumber you're trying to get. And if you're at the Sawmill show the other day down here in Lucedale, Mississippi, this is something we went over with Mr. Rick on his 2520, which is a heck of a mill. Also, while at the Sawmill show, a Sawyer from Cage Hill Sawyer, I think he's up in the Tupelo area. He has this awesome, essentially cant scale, if you will. So if you have, this is really cool. If you have like a diameter log, an 8-inch diameter log, you can get a 5x5 cant out of that. If you have a 20-inch diameter log, you can get a 14. So if you need to get a 12-inch cant, you need a minimum diameter on the small end of 17 inches to get a 12-inch cant. And I know that is true because having done this enough and everything, if I need a 12x12 cant, I know that's a 17 incher is about what I need, and it has to be a straight log. Very, very cool feature to have on the Sawmill, and especially I'm going to keep it right here. This would be a perfect place for it here on the Sawmill and everything, and it's magnetic. I do believe he sells these here. Yeah, it's magnetic on there. And he was giving these out at the Sawmill show. It's really cool. So having that right there, I can say, okay, what diameter log do I have? Cross-reference it to this scale right here and just roll with it. So thank you again very much for this. The other one of these, he gave me this a while back. It's been on my refrigerator, so I have been kind of studying it too. So I had it on my fridge, hanging up my kids' artwork. So now I have one for the Sawmill. That's really cool. I'm very excited about that. But back to the log at hand, we're going to go ahead and show you how to maximize. So stay tuned. This will be an interesting video, and we will see you here shortly. Folks, isn't this just awesome? Literally, the bottom is just now starting to fall out. This is the outskirts of the tropical storm. It's awesome. I could see and hear it in the distance, the rain, and now it's finally getting here. My fire, though, really loves that wind, and it's good because I want to get rid of some of that crap. But what we started off with on the mill was quite small, so go big or go home. Sorry, go big or go home. So we're gonna go ahead and shoot this video in sporadic bits throughout this rainy day. So I've got to put a few tools up real quick before it really starts to lay on, and then I'll see if I can film inside my building here while this nasty tropical storm starts to roll through. Stay tuned. All right, folks, so the rain's died down a little bit. I can speak a little bit here without having to yell. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do prior to, then I'm actually going to do it. So let's just say this is the orientation I'm going to keep the log. I don't know, I might change it around a little bit and everything. But the way that I cut this and the way that I'm going to maximize my cuts and minimize my waste, my first 2 cuts will be done by eyesight. I mean, I'm going to be shooting down and averaging what I think is right. So this first cut, I'll probably come in somewhere in this region right here because, looking at the diameter of this log, let me get my little tape measure. Now this is the big end, it's not really the small end, but we can use this. So 26 by 26. Now I'll measure the other side real quick. 24.5 by 24.5. So not a whole lot of deviation. Looking at my Cage Hill Sawyer little magnetic strip right there, 24-inch diameter will give me a 17-inch cant. So I know what I'm working with and everything. So if I know I can take a couple inches off, I can come down here as long as I have 17 inches in the middle, which is gonna be about right here. So if I do my first cut about like right here and my cut down here, I'll get potentially a 17-inch cant out of the center of this. Now I think I can squeeze a little bit more out of that. That's what we're gonna try for. But again, your first cut, you'll kind of eyeball it. You'll make that cut off there. You take that waste board off. You turn your log 90 degrees. Then you eyeball this cut right here. Take it off. You turn your log. Now, our next cut's gonna be down here. I want to get on a scale. On this one right here, based on what I'm cutting essentially store-bought dimensions. Let's just say 1.5 by 3.5. Makes it a little bit easier to do some calculations, but 1.5 by 3.5. I'll make sure that this cut right here will fall somewhere either on an 1.5 or 3.5-inch scale. So you make that cut, then you turn your log your final time right here. You make this cut. Whichever dimension you did not use down here is what you use up here. So if I use 1.5-inch scale here, I want to use 3.5-inch scale here. That way, the cant that I get out of this is set to my computer on the Sawmill. And the only two cuts I did not actually use the computer on these first two cuts. Then I'll have a cant based on whatever, say a 3.5 inches was the scale I was on when I was on this cut right here. Then that would be the top cut. Then I'd go down 3.5 inches, however many number of times would be in there, turn the entire stack over, and then we'll be cutting from this direction down, because this will be up topside and everything, at 1.5 inches. So you're gonna get a pile of boards out of a log like this. But again, using the scale, 24 inches, if we get that, that's 17 inches worth of cant. I think I'll get a little bit more out of this one because I'll have a few boards that have some weight on it, but we'll make it work. So there's the description of it. Now let's show you it in actuality, in practice. Okay, one of the things I noticed on the last stack that I brought off was that my board, my last bottom board, was a little bit shy. So as you can see right there, I have to bring my saw head up a little bit. I guess just over time the change will stretch a little bit. So there's a representation of how much I've gone down. So I've got to bring it up about 1/8 of an inch or so. So we'll see if we can do that. Stay tuned. Okay, just to show you what I'm doing here is I'm going to put my wrench up here on top. I've just got my chainsaw wrench right here. I'm going to use that I'm going to count the number of turns that I do and everything, and then go down and measure the blade. While I'm up here, it's also a good time to take automatic transmission fluid and spray it in areas such as this. So you have this sprocket here, and you have this bushing here, and it rolls on that pin. So you want to make sure things are oiled up and everything. Automatic transmission fluid does help to keep dust and debris out and everything. So as you can see, it's always good to put a little bit of automatic transmission fluid on there. And I'll do the same thing. Also went up in here and kind of hit all these areas as well. So it's good to get up on top of your mill every so often and see what's going on. So let me do this real quick, then we'll check my progress. I can't do it two-handed up here, and I don't have my tripod high enough to show this. Stay tuned. All right, so I just moved the saw head up. I'm going to show you something. It's really great that I have that computer system because I felt like I was off by about 1/8 of an inch. I come back here, I turned on, well actually I had it on already. You can see I got 1/8 of an inch out of it. Now I'm going to cycle the head up and down. I'm going to take another measurement and I'll reset home everything. But I feel pretty comfortable that I'm going to be cutting right now. Okay, it's a really good idea to cycle it up and down. And as you can see, right now, I feel very happy with that. So I'm just a smidge over 1 inch on both sides. That'll take in consideration the curve of the blade. So my last cut will indeed be 1 inch on the bottom. So quick little check. Hopefully I won't throw off, because the last two stacks I cut, I'm like, man, I got a little bit off on some of these boards, and I can't figure out why. And it's probably because just a little bit of change, stretch, everything happens over time. As you can see, the machine back here. Now I'm gonna go and crank her up. Bring her up a little bit, bring her down a little bit. We're gonna set that as home. So now 1 inch is set on the computer, and we know where everything is. So yeah, pretty easy. Now we know everything's trued up. We're gonna see how she cuts. All right, folks, I'm going to show the first two cuts in a hyperlapse mode. We have a train about to come by, And also this is just going to be, cutting it, nothing special. Then I'll switch to where you can see my controls and what I'm actually doing on the sawmill. Okay, it is at this point where I'm going to start using the computer. So the first two cuts, as you saw, we went ahead and eyeballed it and everything, and I feel very comfortable because I have very large flat surfaces to work with. All right, so I'm going to first check on the 3.5 inch scale just to see. That looks to be the higher of the two sides. So I'm going to go ahead and set return there because I got my blade height above the log and everything. I know you can't really see it because of the light, but then we're going to go ahead and auto saw down. Auto saw down one more time, and then I'm looking down the log. That actually looks to be a pretty clean cut right there, where I'm going to have very little wane on the log itself. So I'm going to go ahead and make the cut where she is. So let me go ahead and turn the water on everything. I'm running out of space, so 1 second. All right, water's running. Engage clutch. Now good, we're in the 3.5 inch scale. It's a rather large log. So I should get quite a few boards out of this. I think the customer's really happy now. That cut I'm making is at like 20 inches or so wide just by eyeballing. Saw head back. Now I'm going to go ahead and take that off. I'm not going to show that on film. You'll just see, I'll show the turning of the log and everything. All right, slab removed. So we can get her turned over. All right, so we know we use the 3.5 inch scale. Now I'm going to switch to the 1.5 inch scale, set return, and then auto saw down until I get into a section of wood where there's not a lot of wane. We'll go one more. That cut right there. Make that cut real quick. I could be cutting faster, but I don't want to push it too hard. I'm very cautious whenever I'm cutting. Now my buddy Neil the other day, whoo, he was flying through the logs on a 1600. I like to keep the blade stress down as low as possible. All right, so next what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and take off this slab here, but then we're gonna turn the log back to the 3.5 dimension, the other direction. And then we're gonna slab down all those 3.5 inch slabs we're gonna get out of it. Then we'll turn the entire stack over and do the 1.5 inch stuff, so stand by. So I just measured, again, 26 to 24 was the big end to the small end diameter of this log. I ended up just getting just shy of 18 inches on one side and 18 inches on the other side, squared up. That's a very large cant. That just shows you that the log scale that my buddy has there is very accurate. I've seen those scales before. It's really accurate having that on the mill, or convenient. Now we're gonna go and turn this over to the 3.5 inch side. We're going to go back to our 3.5 inch scale, set return, auto saw down. We verify that the blade height is in fact where the blade height should be, and we just auto saw down through this. Now I'm going to throw this on a time lapse so you can see the end product, but that's it in a nutshell. I'll show you also this real quick. All the waste is encompassed in 4 boards right there. There are no other waste boards coming off this. We are maximizing this log. Now I might be able to get something out of that, but there's really not a whole lot to get out of that. I might come back and put that on the mill, or might just turn those into benches. We'll see. So I'm gonna go and throw in a time lapse real quick, and you'll see me cutting up the last bit of this log. Okay, total elapsed cut time on that was 5 minutes, not too bad. And every one of these boards now is dead on 3.5. So we have corrected said issue with the head alignment there, up and down. So now I'm going to turn this whole stack over. Hopefully I can do this. I think it will. That's a pretty big stack to turn. That's 18 inches wide and just over 8.5 foot long. That's a stack of wood right there, folks. So I'm going to turn this over, and we'll do a little time lapse, some more cutting. Well, folks, I guess a tropical storm Claudette or tropical depression, whatever it is, she's rolling through the area. We're on the tail end now. We just had a ton of rain last night, so everything's absolutely filthy, disgusting around the mill here. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish cutting up this log. Now, I had some people come over yesterday, actually a good subscriber to the channel, Kyle from Triple H Farms up in Arkansas. I'll see if I can put a link to his YouTube page as well. He does a lot of homesteading type stuff out there in Arkansas, and also has a Timberking 1600 mill. But what I've done here, I'm gonna go ahead. We know the throat cut on this Timberking is 16 inches, so I can leave that top board on there if I wanted to, but I'm not. I'm gonna take off these top 2 boards right here, or 2 stacks. For every cut that I'm doing, I'm getting 5 boards, 5 2x4s for every cut. This log in total will give us 60, which I may have talked about before. That's an impressive number of store-bought dimension 2x4s that'll be coming out of one section of the log. Now this log, well, this tree yielded 4 logs of this size essentially, so that's impressive. I can finish this job pretty much with all of these logs right here and get this on to the customer. So I'm going to go ahead and finish with a hyperlapse here, and then we'll do the final thoughts afterwards. Stay tuned. That's actually 55 on there. I don't know what I was thinking earlier, but anyways, 55 boards out of one log is pretty impressive. Now, to put the 2 stacks back on top there, as you saw, I probably could have kept one of the stacks on there originally, but I'm like, you know what? Let's not push it too much. But there is all of the waste. I think I talked about this before. Only 4 boards of waste with rounded edges. And I might be able to come back and squeeze a few more out of that if I wanted to. We'll see. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. Those could also be turned into benches. But that's a very nice stack of lumber that was cut with no problem. Even at, 5 wide, it handled it no problem. I just kept the power to her and everything, and she just plowed right through it. A nice sharp blade, that does help. Very impressed though with how this stack turned out. So I hope that was interesting. We did go over, again, just a recap, we went over the adjustments there on top of the mill. That really saved me, because on the last log that I cut, I noticed one of my stacks was not the right height, and then it led me to troubleshooting. So again, I'll see if I can put some pictures and maybe in some other information on some of the Facebook groups and stuff like that. But checking your blade height on the deck, the bunks of the deck and everything is very critical, especially after you've traveled with the mill back and forth. I just happened to notice it after one of my cuts did not look like it was the right size, and then we troubleshot and then we corrected said issue. So again, please like, subscribe. There's a lot that's going to be happening on the channel. I wanted to get this video out. I just recently posted the slabbing up of the largest pecan log I've done on my Lucas mill. And also, yesterday I spoke with Lucas. They've got back to me. I contacted some other individuals, but Lucas is the one that got back to me. And it turns out that I can get one of the Lucas swing blades to fit my tracks. That being said, we're probably going to go that route. I'm not going to show you which model yet, but I will be putting an order in, and we probably won't see it until September time frame, September, October. So we'll see. Maybe we'll have it for the October show up in Tennessee. I don't know. It'd be really cool to have a swing blade of my own after running my buddy's Peterson mill, and it would be really interesting to see how I can cut up some other large logs that I can't throw on said mill. So please like, subscribe. The channel is growing, and I do appreciate that. But we need to get some people to subscribe and everything, so I can grow the numbers some more, and maybe start doing some more testing and stuff like that. If I can get some companies to, have me test some stuff for them, we'll see. All right, we'll see you around. Thanks. Be safe, and always remember, keep a sharp blade.